Okay, so Spork Fu Master on the forums was nice enough to share this model with me so I could have a test pulling it all into Morphin. So here's the end result. So it's fully rigged. I've got some spring animation on it. I've got some eye darts. I've got blend shapes, and I've got it sort of nicely baked out of Nomad and into here. So let's jump over to Morphin. I'll just show what that looks like live. So you can see we've got a few joints. I can wiggle the neck joint at the bottom, and it all sort of lags with it. The jaw joint is, it has the teeth and the lower tongue rigged to it, as well as a bit of the upper teeth. The eye has a bit of weighting on it, so that as well as rotating the eye, it also rotates a little bit of the eyelid around it. You can see if I turn that off and turn the rig off, it's brought across the shiny cornea. And lastly, if I select the head, I have access to all the blend shapes in here as well. So, a few moving parts here. If I jump back over to Nomad for a sec, this probably might have another model on it. Yeah, it does. So we go open and go to this one. So first I'll just show what this looks like directly from Spork Fu Master. I'm sorry, I don't know what his actual name is. But this is what it looks like. So it's relatively dense. In fact, this is actually showing multiple things at once. Let's go to the right one. No, is that the right one? No, that's not. Let me try and find the actual thing. We'll go back all the way. It's going to import. I'm going to go Sporky, and we'll make a new project of this one. Okay. This is my tied up one. Where did I put the nice one? Or the original super dense one. It's definitely here somewhere. Import. It won't be 11 meg. It's going to be bigger than that. Let me go to projects and go on to Nomad and then import. I'm quite sure this is where I put it. Yeah, this one here. I was looking for Sporky in the name. He wouldn't name his own file Sporky. It's madness. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So this is with post-processing turned on and subsurface and all the good stuff. So let's just turn those things off one by one and look at the wireframe. So this is 428,000 polygons, which is a little too much for Morphin. The hierarchy is not too bad, actually. It's a few lights, which I'm just going to delete now. Sorry, Spork. We've got the various components separated. But nothing sort of baked down yet. So a few things that I suspected were the cause of issues, and they were. Wanted to check what the transforms were in terms of scales, and wanted to make sure that when I baked that I was baking cleanly. So the first thing, let's check the transforms. So if I choose the gizmo tool, choose something, and then bring up the gizmo properties, this is first clue that things have to be fixed up. So you can see we've got sort of funny scale. So it's at 0.2, 0.08, and 0.24. I'm not sure if it's a GLB thing or a Morphin thing or a Nomad thing or a combination of all the above. But generally speaking, as a rule, whenever you do rigging, be it for Maya, Blender, anything, the first thing riggers will say to you is, you've frozen all the transforms, right? And to which you go, yeah, and you go press the equivalent button inside Maya or whatever it is to reset the transforms. So when I hit bake, you can see that now the transient rotate is 0 and the scale is 1. That's just an assumed thing. I forgot to do that because it's been so long since doing rigging properly when I jumped into Morphin and Nomad. That I was getting weird results, and a little part of my brain from 20 years ago went, hang on, transforms? So that's the first thing. So if I go through all these things, you can see that they've all been transformed and modified in some way. So we're just going to bake them all. So gums, teeth, upper gums, the horns, the two parts of the eye. Actually, this one is nearly correct, but we'll go back anyway. Bake that down. So this one will need to be baked as well. So when you have things that are parented, there's also a bit of alarm bells. So in fact, what I might do is I might pull that out just to make sure that these transforms are definitely zeroed out. And finally the head, which is pre-baked. So everything is now reset, which is what we want. Okay, so then the next thing is stuff that I've covered before, where we're going to decimate this down, bake it, and then export. with a bit of chat recently on the Nomad Discord, learned some cool tricks for getting better quad remesh bakes. So again, if you're on iOS, Morphin, on iOS using Morphin, you have access to the quad remesher plugin. I can't recommend it enough if you're going to be doing animation. So I'll just do this very quickly, but the idea is that I can use the face group tool, and I'm going to just very quickly sort of mark in sort of face groups to give myself the best possible flow. So if I say mark one across here, across sort of the where the this major sort of like kind of cheek crease is going to go, and then another one for the lips. I'm not being careful. I'm intentionally not being careful, because you can just mark these up first very quickly, and then you can go back and refine. Do one for the eyelid. Might do one for the area around the eyelid. Again, not being careful. Trying very hard to not be careful. Well, I mean, within reason. Then I might do one for the ears, I guess. Unimportant really in the grand scheme of things, but let's just say we're being careful. So now that I've got those roughly marked out, I can turn off this auto add face group button and turn on auto pick, and I can refine some of these edges. So I'm going to go to a smaller brush, and I'm going to start on a color, and then I can sort of start to brush it out to the edge where I want that to be. So that's going to go to there. This one I want to pull it back the other way, so I'm going to start on the red and push back to the seam like that. This one I will correct like that. So this is a really nice fast way to clean up groups. So that I'm going to clean up across there. This one like that, clean up that edge there. In fact, I might even pull this group back to there, get that to there. I don't want this to be a full tutorial on this, but the more kind of love and care and attention you can provide at this step, the easier everything else becomes. So I'll just make that a little bigger, and then try and get a smooth edge on the inside. Smooth edges aren't imperative, and I'll explain why very soon. You're also trying to make sure you don't have any like sort of single poly holes anywhere. So see this one here, just try and tidy that up. Where else is kind of bad? I think it's probably all okay. And then I'm going to do another one inside here. So I'm going to go back into making face groups, paint one into here. Then if I turn that off again and make sure auto pick is turned off, if I select the group I want with my finger, so I'm going to grab that one, then I can tap in this group. And because this is bounded on both sides, it'll just fill it like that, which is really handy. I'm going to make another one for here so that this group and this group are treated as two separate things. So I'll make a group, turn that off again, and then I can tap, and that's now flood filled. That is probably nearly good enough. I'll just choose this color now and just give a sweep through here. Okay, stop, Matt, stop. This is fine. So the next thing I want to do is to make these edges nice and smooth. So I can do that by under this relax slider here. So if I tap this one and slide up, you see that these edges magically smooth away until you get something that represents the edge you want to retain, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, now next thing we can do is we can decimate this a few times just to give the quad remesher a head start. I'm going to also make a copy of this mesh so we can always refer back to the original one. Well, I've already damaged it a bit by relaxing the edge, but meh. So we'll go clone, turn off the other one, and here I'm going to decimate this down a touch. So go to misc, get into say clay, and I'm just going to decimate until I notice a change. There I kind of notice a change, so I'm going to stop there. And if I kind of turn the wireframe back on, this feels like it's good enough for doing a quad remesh. The other thing that I had turned on in the decimate options is this thing here. So this will try and remesh and retain the edges of the face groups, which is quite useful. So if I turn this back on, you can see that we've kept these nice clean edges, but if I turn it off, you almost can't see it. So there's no like sort of funny sliver verts on the edges of the face groups. Okay, so now we can go to quad remesher, and the main step is that from here you want to turn off relax because we've already relaxed it. We'll leave face group turned on. We can even turn density off if we want, and we'll leave symmetry turned on for now. So that all looks good, and I might go for the default of 10,000. We'll see how that feels. And just seems that before, when I was using relax and a few other tricks, I was always getting like funny holes and, you know, like sort of bad seams and things, whereas this is now very reliable. So this feels pretty good. That, in terms of an animation cage, feels happy. I'm not going to go any further than that. So the next thing I can do is I can get back into regular mode, turn off the wireframe, and I'm going to make some UVs, and I'm going to bake the detail from the original mesh back onto this guy. So I'll unwrap. Ta-da. And then I'm going to turn on only these two meshes, and then I'm going to bake. So go to bake texture. This is going to, you can see that it has a 1, so it knows that it's only baking from the one map, from the one other object, and I'm baking all these properties. So null, metalness, roughness, color. That's all we need. So go from high res. Okay, so that's done. Let's switch to a regular material rather than the subsurface, just so we can see a bit more clearly. And if I go to the lighting menu and I toggle textures and make sure I'm only looking at this model, you can see that's now baked into textures. And if I look in the material and go down to the color maps, you can see that's my color there. So that's baked. So that's one. And I'm going to name this one head, and the other one, the original one, I'll name head high, just in case we need to go back to the high res one, but we shouldn't need to. The idea is we do this for every mesh. So normally I would skip ahead, but you know what? Let's actually show the process because I think it's useful to know. So we can hide the head, and let's go to the eye and the sphere. So let's go with, say, hide everything and just go for the actual eyeball itself. So this is, again, fairly high res because Spork likes to use dynamic topology. That's all cool. So do the same thing. We will clone this guy. We'll name the original one high, and this one, I'm recording. Phew. Name this one just eyeball. Eyeball. As a creature of habit, I name everything lowercase. Just putting capitals and stuff tends to just confuse things. Okay, so this thing. I don't think we need to bother about face groups and stuff. We'll just get this quad remesh down a bit. So we will go to half of what it currently is, and we'll just keep going down until it feels like it's sort of captured enough detail. So I've just turned on solos so we can just look at this and nothing else. Half again, because remember this is going to be quite small in the grand scheme of things. That feels pretty good. It's funny that he sculpted the back by accident. Okay, that's good. Back into a regular tool, unwrap UVs, get out of that menu, turn the other eye back on again, and now we're going to bake. So from high res, cool. Now I'm going to hide the high res, hide the wireframe. That looks pretty good. And I can preview the maps by going to the material and going to the textures, and there's our texture. So, you know, Nomad UVs, because it uses the Atlas thing, will be wacky. It's fine. Again, if we're not worrying about sort of, you know, super precise stuff, we're just running and gunning. Want to be fast and quick and loose. So that's the eyeball done. Let's go to the eye outer. So we'll call this eye outer. So you would think you wouldn't need to do anything here, except that if I turn on the wireframe, you can see that this is also fairly high res. And again, just like whatever savings we can do, the better. I did just post the other day, I was surprised that on this M2 iPad Pro, it can push quite a lot of polygons, but the old school rigger in me wants things to be efficient. So we will make a copy of this, call this one the high res one, and this will be the actual eye outer, and we'll just do the same old thing. So quad remesh, turn the wireframe, and we'll just go by halves until it comes down to something nice. That feels pretty good. One more. Yeah, okay, that was good. One thing I just want to make sure of is to turn on the original, the actual eyes as well, just to make sure that these things sort of play nicely together, because sometimes they can clash. So turn off the quad, the face group view, turn off the wireframe, and I think that is okay. So nothing's poking through. So that's the eyeball and the eye outer done. Let's go to the horns. So we're up here now. Same step. I'm going to make you watch. You can skip ahead if you like, but I'm going to do this. So call this one horns high. Clone it. Call this one horns, all lowercase. Hide the high-res one for a sec. Quadri mesh. We will just go by halves again until we get something that's the res, maybe half that, half again, half again. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, regular tool, unwrap it, like that. You can see I've done this quite a bit now. So that's the high, this is the low. We're going to bake the high res. We can hide the high res, hide the wireframe, and that looks pretty cool. What else we got? Now the gums, the teeth, lower gums. So it's all these guys over here. Whoops. Turn you off. Turn these all on. What are these like? They're high res. We should do this properly. Yeah, come on, Matt. Don't be lazy. So what I might do is I might combine these into just lower and upper. So it's generally speaking, wherever things are going to be like sort of like move as a solid mass, I will combine those into a single shape and bake that down. So let's say I'm going to use the select tool. I'm going to grab everything down there. So that's lower gums, lower teeth, and the tongue, and I'll join those. And then conversely, these upper two, I'll join those. So I'm going to call this just jaw upper and jaw lower. Jaw upper, and this one jaw lower. Okay, and we'll do the same thing. So duplicate this guy, clone, call this, well, we'll go the other way this time just to be lazy, call this one high. And this is the one that will decimate down. So just go to the quadri mesher. See how this goes by going by half the amount. Half again. So I'm always just kind of thinking, how big is this going to be on screen? And it's going to be like sort of viewed almost like back there. So even that feels like too many polygons. So we'll go half again. Okay, that's probably good enough. So at the clay tool, turn on the draw lower, go to this one, unwrap your V's, show, and then why are you doing from everything? Because I've hidden it. Okay, that's the way. So both those meshes are visible. Now it'll allow me to just bake from the high res. Okay, so I can hide the high res, and we can hide the wireframe, and you can see that's got all that sort of normal map detail. That's cool. And lastly, the draw upper. Okay, so clone, call this on the high res. Working with the draw upper, quadri mesh, wireframe on, half the amount of polygons, half again, half again, half again, half again, half again. Yeah, feels good. No, that's too far. I noticed I was changing the shape. That's better. Okay. Okay, so unwrap, get out of the tool, get out of this menu, turn the high res back on, and we'll bake. Now we can hide the high res, hide the wireframe. Okay, so now we have, so that's the jaw upper, the jaw lower, with the horns, the eyeball, the eye outer, and the head. So these are all the bits. So if we look at this now, you can see that this is 11,000 polygons, whereas before it was something like 400,000 polygons. So we've made quite a lot of savings, and I think that looks pretty good. So with all those visible, this is what we'll export. I'm just going to do one last check because sometimes the baking and stuff can do funny things to the transform. So I'll bring up the gizmo tool again, and we'll go through and just make sure these are all reset to translation 0, rotation 0, scale of 1. So that's correct. That's correct. Yes, 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 and yes. The other thing that I didn't comment on, because this is something that'd be a huge hassle inside other apps, but Nomad just magically makes it work, is even though we've done the whole quad remesh thing and baking down and all that kind of stuff, all these blend shapes that were made by Spork still work, which is incredible. Like that, my knowledge of 3D implies that shouldn't work, and yet here it is working. It's so cool. Nomad is amazing. Okay, so this is everything we want to export. Head, eye outer, eyeball, horns, jaw upper, jaw lower. Okay, so now with that all selected, I can go to the export menu, go to export of the visible meshes, so it's only the 6, and we are exporting the layers, the normals, and the textures. Cool. Export. Save to files, and we'll call this one Spork. Spork. What a great name. Now, we can finally jump across to Morphin. So we're at 20 minutes. Try to put that in the shortcuts mat. So we'll go start a new project. Yep. I'll lift the background a little bit, turn off the thing, turn on gestures. Okay, and away we go. Actually, I'll turn the grid back on for a sec. Okay, so let's go file import, and we go to the Spork org. So 13 meg. Generally speaking, the things that I export are like 3 meg, 4 meg. If they're getting up, I just do a double check for the polygon density. This is heavy because of the size of the textures, because there's like 4 textures per thing. Each one is 1K by 1K, so the numbers add up. If you want to be really paranoid, you can choose the head, go to its display options, and turn on wireframe. And I can see that is what I expect. And this is also, I guess, gives context as to why I was thinking maybe I should push the teeth resolution a bit lower, because at this distance, they're really small. We don't see it, but what's done is done, and this will animate fine, I feel. So now I'm going to increase the light a touch just so I can see what I'm doing. I will lower the background again because it just looks cool. Okay, and what I can test just to start with is if I choose the head, I should be able to bring up the morph targets, and you can see them all working. There is a little issue there where you can see that the when Spork did the layer for the blink, he by accident got the back of the eyeball and pulled it forward. You can go back and fix it, but I can't be bothered. So we know that the blinks work. That's cool. Let's go into rigging. So the idea here is that, obviously we've got all these separate shapes. The head is going to have to be weighted, so it's going to have multiple bones affecting it, and you have to control that. But most of the other stuff will be rigidly bound. So, so the horns only belong to the head bone, the lower teeth only belong to the jawbone, all that jazz. So let's get on with it. So author view, side view, make a rig, and we're going to go, we do that transform. Come on. Why can't I rotate it? There we are. So rotate there and scale it up so that it roughly sits at the base of the neck. Make a child bone, rotate this so it just goes up like that. Make a child of that. This can become the jawbone. So we'll start that roughly about there. Rotate it down, and that can go like about that. And then we're going to make another one. I'm going to zoom in and use this for the eye. So to get this right, I'm sure there's better ways, but again, I'm always working in a hurry. So I'm going to just hide the rest of it for the moment. Make sure I'm looking purely from the side. I'm going to make a child of this bone. Lost it. I'm going to put that roughly in the center. Make sure I'm looking side on again. Zoom in. Make sure I'm looking side on again. Lost my bone. It undid because I got a double tap. Silly Matt. Side view. Okay, and now I'm going to try and place that roughly in the center of the eyeball. I'm looking at this outer yellow circle and just seeing if that's lined up. Kind of is. So now I can scale it down. I'll leave it a little bit bigger just because then it's easy to grab when I need to, and try and face it so that it's nearly dead out. In fact, what I can do now is I can go to the advanced menu and I can type in some values here. 71, because it's in the local rotate of the parent bone. So it looks horizontal. That's fine. Am I going to name the bones? No, I've already wasted too much time. I'm going to turn the head back on, and I'm going to get through the rigid objects first. So I'm going to stop the transform for a sec. Perhaps to select meshes isn't probably got to get out of this mode. There we are. So you can choose the horns, select it, choose the bone that it's going to be parented to, which is the head bone. Oh, you jerk. got to get it into bone mode. Okay, fine. Just make sure it hasn't lost the selection of the horns. Okay, it is. So the horns are going to belong to this bone. So we can go to bind, and we can go weight all to current bone. So now if I rotate this bone, you can see that the horns move with it. It's cool. I'll reset the pose. I'm going to do the same for the bits of the eyeball. Unfortunately, you can't multi-select at the moment, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, what you can do. So that's the eyeball has a tick next to it. And I've now selected the eye bone. I'm going to go to bind and weight all. Then I'm going to go to, so the way to know like what's been done so far is when things get parented and bound, they move to the bottom of the outline normally. So here you can see the horns and the eye outer down here, but these things that haven't been touched yet are still at the top. I was asking, do I need anything from the shops? I'm going to say no thanks. No, comma. Thanks. Cool. Thank you, wife. Okay, so now we get to the eyeball. So that's got a tick next to it. I choose the eye, go to bind, weight all to current bone. So now we've got everything done apart from the head. Now, normally I would use auto weighting, but because we've got very specific stuff going on here, I am doing sort of a manual-ish weight paint. Although before I do that, I realize I haven't done the jaw upper and the jaw lower. Silly Matt. So jaw upper will belong to this bone, bind, weight to current bone. Jaw lower will belong to the jawbone, bind, weight all. Yes, right. And then now we get to the head. So the head, for now, I'm just going to weight all to the neck bone, and then I'm going to manually paint the rest of it, and I'll show you how. So go bind, weight all to current bone. Okay, so now if I move this one, everything should move with it, and it does. So that's cool. But now we're going to fix up the weights for the head. So I'm going to go into weight painting mode, and it's already dropped me into the skinning for the head, which is handy. And I'm going to go to the head bone, go to weight painting, and I'm going to paint a gradient. So I'm going to use the gradient mode from the side, always does that. And I'm just going to like sort of start from just below, go to just above to get that kind of gradient shape like that, because we want all that to be weighted onto this bone, and that's cool. So we go apply. Then I'm going to manually weight paint the jaw. So I'm going to exit, choose the jaw, get into painting mode, and I'm going to use the paintbrush. I'm going to, we'll go replace, yeah. So we'll be aggressive with this brush. So make sure the size is kind of smallish, and I'm going to paint pretty much everything you see from down here on this side, and then switch to the other side. The same over here. Just get it sort of roughly correct, and we will confirm that. So I'm going to go apply. Then I'm going to use the circular gradient brush in add mode at a fairly low weight, and just sort of paint in a bit of extra weight through here just to kind of soften it off. So I'm going to pin this menu, and I'm going to go apply. Going to get a little bit under the neck there. Apply. Do the same on the other side. This is where sort of mirroring weights and sort of better weight painting tools will be useful, but you know, this is fine, I think. Apply. I'm just filling this thing here because that's looking a little bit funky. Apply. One more. Apply. Okay, so if I exit that out, now I should be able to rotate this, and that is, you know, not perfect, but it's not bad. You know, if I had time, interest, patience, all those important words, I would, you know, paint more kind of like soft gradients, but it's fine. The other neat trick I do, because it doesn't involve much effort and gets nice results, is if I rotate this this eyeball, I've shown this trick earlier, you can see that it moves the eye, and that's fine, but you kind of expect a little bit of flesh moving in the eyelid. So what you can do is I can go into weight painting mode again for the eye at a small amount, like say weight of 0.2 or something, and I can just like paint a gradient from the middle of the eye out. So like that amount, and go apply. And now when I rotate the eye, you see you get this just subtle little bit of shifting in the flesh around the eye, which is pretty cool. So that is almost it, really. So what I can do to show this off is I can set up a spring bone on the head. So I'm going to go to constraints, which what I should do is save it. So save as, I'm going to go Spork orc rigged. Now I'm going to go to constraints, I'm going to make a spring constraint on this bone, leave it at its defaults and go apply. So now if I rotate the neck bone, you get this kind of like lag, which is makes me laugh no end. So then what I could do is I could record. So make sure I'm in rotation mode. I'm going to set the amount of keys per second quite low. So we'll grab, say, four keyframes a second. And I'm going to record. So tap the record button, get ready to turn it, and going to go and just move it around, up a bit faster, and then back down. Cool. To make sure that loops, I'm going to grab the first frame, copy it, go to the last frame, and paste that there. I think I have missed a frame. Go delete that one, paste on that one. Other way. Paste, that's better. So that should now, hopefully, clean loop. Always forget the interpolation. So go to the graph editor, you can see we've got these crazy steps. You can change it by going to the tangent menu and go compute auto tangents. So now that should play smoothly. That's doing what I did. Cool. Then what I can also do is I can make a new action, call it iDarts. We'll turn off this one for a sec. I'm going to grab the eye. This is always playing with fire a bit because it tends to get a little bit crashy when I'm using layers. Layers are a bit unstable. I will say that up front. So let's keyframe it, say about 15 frames a second. And I'm also going to set the playback speed a bit lower, so like 0.4. Go back to the first frame, hit record. I'm just going to like sort of wiggle the eye around. And because I've turned off the first layer, I don't have to sort of fight it moving around. So imagine he's looking over here, scanning a bit over there, scanning a bit down, tracking down to here, and then up and across. So there we are. Now this like sort of super steppy thing it does actually works really well for eyes. So should be now, if I go back to playing at full speed and turn all the layers back on again, yeah, that's kind of doing what I wanted. So that is kind of cool. Didn't put it into a separate layer, which is kind of annoying, but so that's cool. And then what else could I do? I could do some blend shapes. So if I choose the actual head mesh, which is gone to here, then I can choose its blend shape panel. And now I can, if I turn off snap to integer, I can sort of go through and say here, I'm going to keyframe a blink. So start from there, go a few frames forward, blink, and then out, blink. Go over here, keyframe at 0, 1, 0, and then maybe one down at the end, 0, whoops, missed it, 1, and 0. Okay, make sure to clean up the tangents because they always get funky. Get rid of tangents. And hopefully we have blinks. Why didn't you record the because I was in rotation mode. What an idiot. Do it again. Morph targets. So let's go to that frame and we'll say that is there. I must get myself in the habit of looking here, this key mode morph, because that tells you exactly what's going on. There, do one over here. I'll just do 2 blinks this time because this has already gone for too long. And over there, keyframe, fix, that's better. Compute the tangents. Now if I play back, let's rewind a little bit and then hit play. Yeah, so now it's got the blinks. Cool. And then last thing I could do is I could animate the jaw by hand. So I'm going to go to there. This is rotation keys. See, now I'm remembering. So I'm going to go to that frame, bring up the transform handle, and I might sort of get it like, say, that on the first frame. Close it sort of quickly like that. And over here, keyframe it there, and then have it sort of slide sideways a bit. So it's like sort of gurning a touch. Like maybe that. It's kind of a dopey thing. And then another key maybe sort of here. And then open his jaw, like he's about to say something. hold it for a few frames, and then grab the first frame, and copy to the last frame. Cool. Set the tangents, and let's hide everything, and let's take a look. Okay, that's a bit rough. I can quickly fix that though. So these are just too close. So I'll just move it that way a bit. See how that feels. Yeah, it's a terrible pose. What was I thinking? What I can do actually is that's rotating on Z. So let's see. I'm just going to zoom in here and take out most of that Z rotation, just so it doesn't look quite so stupid. Call myself an animator. Jesus. Yeah, so that's kind of working. Last things, let's set the background to black, turn on shadows, I'll add a spotlight. So it's over this one, lights, spotlight. I will aim that down at him. I'll lift it up a bit. It's kind of like that. I will turn down the environment light so we can see the spotlight, and then turn the spotlight up by going like that. How can I see him? He's out of frame. It's just too far away. It's kind of working. Cool. And then you can turn on post-processing. Sure. And then we have something that's kind of presentable. Fix up the shadow artifacting by going to the spotlight and turn down the shadow bias, which should, whoops. That's like, yeah, so that's just getting rid of this banding across here. Like that. That's better. Okay. So that is the full steps. That was 36 minutes, longer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, again, you can see that I work straight ahead. I have learnt to avoid a lot of the sort of mistakes and pitfalls. Like undo in Morphin isn't great. So I've learned to just say, if I make mistakes, I don't just go, bah, and I'll reset and I'll go again from scratch. I still find it fun. Like I still find it wild that I can get something like this in less than half an hour. I mean, really, like 50 minutes of that was the Nomad side. Morphin was pretty quick. So yeah, I hope you find that useful.